Right, okay guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. As you can probably tell, it's a Friday Waffle with a little, something a wee bit different. You can probably tell who I've got with me tonight. It's the hairy monster himself, Mr. Lukozer. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Just for a change, here I am again. I'm sure people on this channel are sick of the sight of me by now.
Not at all. I think they love having you on, mate. I always enjoy doing these videos with you anyway. So yeah, it's a Friday Waffle. We've come up with something a wee bit different. We're not going to be answering questions as such, but we'll come to that in a wee minute. So how's your week been, Chris? Been okay?
Well, okay for someone who's been stuck in the house pretty much all week, thanks to 1,000,001 Romanian workmen working on the roof.
Oh, you mentioned that. Aye. So
yeah,
when did that start?
on Monday, and they're still here. So the house is still surrounded with scaffolding. It looks like it's going to collapse any second, but apart from that, it's great.
It'll be worth it when it's done anyway. But aye, so have you been up? So YouTube wise, have you been putting out much content or what?
Well, I did a few through the week. I thought it was only like one or two, but it turns out it was like three or four. So yeah, the retro reviews are still coming, and yeah, there's still plenty more to come as well. So yeah, brace yourself for more of them.
How do you decide what games you're going to review? How do you?
Several ways. If I have a particular title in mind, then a lot of the time I'll go and check on somewhere like the Lemon site because I want to know when it was released and when who published it and so on. And a lot of times I'll click on their link to the Zap64 review, and then I start flicking through like the other pages of it, and I spot these other games, and I think, yeah, I remember that. Not always for the right reasons, but it's a game that I remember, so that goes down on the list. And then there's a lot of videos that like you've done, or like Polar Venturous has done, or Gans Teeth has done, and I remember that one, or it's a game that is particularly good or particularly shite, and I think, yeah, okay, I'll cover that one. So yeah, there's a few ways that I pick them out.
Yeah. Sometimes it's when I'm maybe sitting working, whatever, or you're driving, or even whatever. A game will just spring to mind. You go, fucking hell, why have I never done that one before? I don't really do reviews per se, but might bit face off kerfuffles, whatever. You just come across one, you go, blimey, I'd forgotten all about that game.
Yeah, I mean, a couple that I did recently. I did Lords of War, the Amiga game. I don't know how familiar you are with that. Now, not that long ago, when I was covering Atari 2600 games, I did a review of Warlords. And someone mentioned in the comments that, yeah, there was an Amiga, remake, stroke, updated version, whatever, that came along. Now, I had never heard of it either. But as soon as he mentioned it, because I'm such a fan of Warlords, I thought, right, that's going down on the list. So things like that also, give me other titles to.
What was Warlords? I remember the name. I can't actually place. I can't place the game.
You had like the four castles in the four corners of the screen, and you back thing. You were catching the ball, and you had to break through the castle walls.
Yeah.
Aye. I thought on the 2600 it was fantastic. I was a huge fan of it. On the Amiga, well, my reaction probably says it all, but yeah, if you check the video, yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan. It's not diabolical, but it could have been so much better.
Yeah. So the 2600 version, I don't know if I've got that actually, maybe not, but was that a paddle?
Yeah, paddle game.
And
so of course you'd think, okay, paddle game. So on the Amiga, yeah, use the mouse. No, they made it joystick only.
Sorry, yeah. Why? Because I mean, a mouse it doesn't perfectly. It recreates a spinner pretty good.
Yeah, the mouse would have been perfect. The game was tailor-made for mouse control. So why they chose to make it joystick, I have no idea. It's a ludicrous decision.
Aye, but I myself have not been doing very much. Apologies, guys, about the lack of content this week. Just kind of real life has taken over. I was mentioning to Chris, and I don't mind mentioning it now because it's public knowledge. I've now got myself a new job. I've been trying to get another job for quite a while, and I've finally successfully got a new job. Start at when is it? 4 weeks time. So looking forward to that. So, but yeah, just real life, Chris. It comes along now and again and kicks your ass.
Yeah, it always gets in the way. We don't need any of that.
Pesky real life, bloody hell. But anyway, listen, guys. What we're going to do, like I said, there's not going to be any questions or answers this week at all. We have come up. What we're going to do is, excuse me, Chris and I are going to tell you what was the best ever 8-bit computer, bar none. This will be the definitive answer. So you don't have to bother and look on YouTube anywhere else. This is what is the best.
It. And of course, everyone is going to agree with us 100%.
So what we've done is we've racked our brains and we've come up with about 20 systems. I think they're all 8-bit. Yeah, we'd all be 8-bit.
Yeah, they're all 8-bit, yeah.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is, I'm just thinking, should we agree? I think what we've done is we've come up with a number of categories. We've got graphics, sound, keyboard, availability of games, i.e. how easy were games to actually get for it, peripherals available, quality of games, the aesthetics, did it look shite, did it look nice, the memory capacity, the price of the software, I've already got price of hardware, the credibility, did you get picked on at school because you owned a BBC, the lifespan, and lastly was the basic shit or not. So that's the categories that we're going to rate each machine on. I think we're going to do it out of 10, Chris, would you say, or should we go for, would 10 be...
Yeah, out of 10 works. I mean, if need be, we can say, we can give it, say, 5.5 or whatever out of 10.
We could maybe go to halves. I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to debate or hopefully agree on the virtues of each machine based on these categories. Should we agree what we're going to come up with, or should we both give our own scores? What do you think?
I think to make it easier, because you're the one keeping score, it'd probably be better if we just agreed on it.
Maybe meet in the middle. If you're going for a 4, I'm going for a 6. We'll go for a 5, something like that.
Let's just hope there are none where you give it 10 and I give it 1.
Yeah, hopefully not. So anyway, listen, I'm going to do it in complete random order, and we're going to start with the BBC. Which have you had much? Well, firstly, do you own a BBC?
No,
or have you ever owned one?
Never owned one, but I have used them quite often because I mean,
school.
Exactly, yeah. Like a lot of people our age, that was the computer you had at school.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of people who did have BBCs, but yeah, I wasn't one of them.
Aye, I think we'll talk about that in a wee minute, but yeah, I did use a BBC to do my. I passed my O grade business. What was it? Just computers. It was Mo grade in computers. Program basic. Actually, I mean, I've got a BBC, and I actually wanted it so I could do programming. I mean, the basic on it was really good, which again we're going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, so I think let's kick things off. Price.
I remember the BBC being extortionately expensive.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how much it was, but I think it was around 500 quid, and it never really came down much from that.
Have you got that PDF that I sent you? Basically, there was a magazine that came out in the UK called the Home Computer Course, and it was, my mum and dad bought me issue 1, and in it there was a double inlay, and it basically listed all the sort of home computers that were available, and I think it tells you the price. This was, when did that come out? 1983, I think it was, Chris?
Was it 83? I thought it was around that sort of time, 82, 83.
Are you able to open up at all, mate?
Yeah, I've got it up here. Yep.
Yeah. What does it say for the BBC?
Right, well, BBC Micro typical price for the BBC A 299, BBC B 399. The BBC B was the one that had 32k. That was the one that everyone had. So.
That was the most common. So yeah, it was about 350 quid, something like that, was it?
It's 400 quid as near as damn it.
And I don't recall the BBC ever really coming down in price at all, did it?
No, I don't. I think it's largely because the schools kept buying them in and, buying plenty of them in. So Acorn basically just kept the price the same. They were selling plenty. They had no reason to drop the price.
So we're going to base, when we say we're going to score out of 10 on price, we're talking about your average man in the street, the likelihood that he's going to be able to afford said computer based on the price. So yeah. What you thinking? 400 quid?
I'm thinking pretty low. I'm thinking like 2 or 3. Yeah, 2.
Yeah, it was an expensive machine.
Yeah.
So right, okay, right. Will we talk about the price of the next computer, or should we just work our way through? What do you think?
Stick with each one, work through them, and then go on to the next one.
Right, graphics. Now, I think the BBC did have various graphic modes, didn't it?
Yeah. I have never been a fan of BBC Micro graphics. The only time I ever saw a BBC game and I thought visually it was impressive was Shock Horror Elite. The rest...
It was, yeah, I think, well, I'm saying the problem, to my mind, I mean, I have got a BBC, I've played quite a few BBC games, the colours were all really, really bright and garish.
Yeah.
There wasn't any real subtle kind of colours on it. So
yeah, it was the polar opposite of the Commodore 64. Everyone always kept saying the Commodore 64 colours were really drab and dull and that. And this thing, I mean, the colours were, they could make your eyes bleed sometimes. Yeah, it was too much.
So the colours, the colour palette, I don't know what the exact figures were. The colour palette wasn't the greatest. Actual graphics, I mean, I'm guessing we can only really go by the games we've played. Other than Elite, the graphics weren't the greatest.
No, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the graphics in the Sentinel, but that was another BBC game that I played, and yeah, they were functional, I think, more than anything. I remember playing the BBC version of Hunchback. That was hideous, and I think the worst was the BBC version of Impossible Mission. If you can believe such a thing, that really did look awful.
I don't recall ever seeing a BBC game and going, wow, that's just blowing every other version out of the water. So
yeah,
I think out of 10, I mean, I know it's a perfect one, but I'm thinking maybe 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't go any higher than 5, that's for sure.
Tell you what we'll do. Yeah, aye, okay, right. Do you agree in 5?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll go with 5.
Okay. Keyboard. Oh, great keyboard.
It was great. It was almost indestructible. I mean, when you consider that, well, when I started using a BBC Micro, I was about 10 or 11. You've got 10 or 11-year-olds basically pounding away on the keyboard and that, and it just never went wrong. Unlike this connection for this video, it looks like you've just frozen on my screen here.
And we're back. What were you saying about losing connection?
It's me saying that the BBC keyboard was indestructible, which is more than I can say for this bloody connection.
But I think we can agree the keyboard in the BBC was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I liked how it felt. I still do.
It had that real clicky.
Yeah, which I like. I much prefer that to the sort of like horrible springy sort of feel that some of the computers which we will be covering had. So yeah, I thought as keyboard wise it was great. I'll definitely give it. Oh, go on.
I'm thinking probably 9 out of 10. It was a cracking.
Okay, I was going to say 8, but yeah, actually, I'd go.
We'll go for 8.5 then. We'll meet in the middle, eh?
Okay, right, 8.5 for that
keyboard.
one.
availability of games, as far as how many games were available. I mean, there was quite a few, I think, initially, but then the BBC didn't. Yeah, I think for the lifespan of the BBC, there were quite a few games. Obviously, it wasn't on a par with the usual suspects.
No, that's it. I mean, if you wanted educational stuff, then yeah, I mean, you swamped with it. But yeah, if you wanted actual, wanted it for a gaming machine, I mean, there were worse out there. But I mean, it's not like you could just walk into any bloody, computer shop and browse through their library of BBC micro games. It wasn't great.
What we're thinking, maybe five, six.
I think that's a bit generous. I was thinking more 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose what we need is a kind of yardstick. The obvious one, we're going to say Spectrum. The ZX Spectrum would get a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
so
yeah.
To base it against, taking that as the yardstick, what are you thinking?
Well, if we're comparing it to that, then yeah, I'd definitely have it down as a 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. Go for 4 for games. Right, I think this one's going to get quite a big score. Peripherals. I don't think there was a computer that could be expanded quite like the BBC.
No, you couldn't move BBC peripherals. I mean, some of them were a bit useless. Like you remember that? Was it the turtle?
I was just going to say that.
Yes, with the logo language there. I mean, it served no practical use whatsoever, but nevertheless, you get another peripheral you could get for it. Didn't it also have that robot arm thing as well?
I think it did. I think it did.
So again, it's all connected with the educational side of it.
Yeah, I mean, it had modems, it had monitors, it had. I've got to say though, have you ever used original BBC joystick?
Yes, the old analog ones.
Oh, it's got this little. It's like a little bitty. It's like a paper clip. There's a little black knob in the top.
Tiny.
When you move it to the right and take your finger off it, it stays. It basically stays where it is. Try playing Jetpack with that. It's like, what?
The one game, actually, that's another game that I forgot about and just reminded me. One game that I played where that joystick really worked was Revs.
I was going to say analog. Aye.
Yeah. With that joystick with that game, it worked perfectly.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money just for one game, though, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for any other game, it was hopeless. So, I mean, are you really going to be buying one of those joysticks just to play one game?
Right, I think we need to move on. Peripheral-wise, Chris, I think it's probably out of anything. I don't know. I'm thinking 9.5, 10.
I was thinking between 9 and 10. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe it didn't have many cheat cartridges, so maybe we'll go for 9.5.
I can't even remember actually. Did the BBC have any cartridges?
Did it have
I don't remember if the machine even had a cartridge.
No, I don't think it did actually. Hence the reason there was no cheat cartridges. But anyway, a minor point. Next one, aesthetics. How pretty was it? I mean, it was a massive thing because the monitor sat on top, didn't it?
Yeah, I always thought it was a bit of an ugly looking thing actually. I mean, you had the keyboard there and you still had more than half the rest of the computer jutting out the back. Yeah. I didn't think it looked that good.
Yeah, is it the kind of thing you'd have on display just because it looked nice? Probably not. So
no.
And what we're thinking?
Thinking between 5 and 6. In fact, may even be a bit lower than that. I mean, it wasn't hideous, but yeah, it just didn't look good.
It looked like an educational computer.
Yeah.
It was designed for schools, so we'll go for 5, I think. Eh?
Okay.
Memory. It came with.
Came with 32K. I don't know if there were any memory expansion packs for it.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, I mean, you could expand it. I think you'd expand it up. Well, I don't know what you could expand. Is it 256 or something? Yeah, it was supremely expandable. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a saving grace then. For me, I always thought that 32K was the absolute minimum.
Aye, although I suppose to be fair to this, we're really talking about if this video came out in 1982. In fact, if there's any time travellers watching this video, you might want to take this back to 1982 and show it to your mates so they don't make the same fuck up as I made. I'm thinking because I think what we need to do for the purpose of scoring it, we need to look at the standard memory it came with, which in this case was 32K. So it wasn't a behemoth when it came to memory, then, was it?
Yeah, I guess we should also take into account how well it used it. I mean, it wasn't one of these systems that used a hell of a lot of its memory to just keep itself running, which, we'll come to that one eventually. So it had 32K, and most of that was actually accessible. So in that regard, it would score okay.
What are you thinking?
6
or 7? 6.
So yeah, meet in the middle again. So 6.5 for that one.
Okay, pricey games.
I think they were comparable to the sort of Commodore 64 sort of pricing area. So when you consider how rare they were,
it's not pretty fair. I don't know if there was many budget games available. So
I do remember seeing one or two. I mean, you could get a couple of Mastertronic games for BBC and the Electron, which I think we might mention a bit later. But they were pretty sparse. Mastertronic didn't stick with the BBC for long.
There was no money to be made always at that point.
Yeah.
So price of games is pretty fair. Maybe go for about a 7. You think?
Yeah, I think that's
enough for that. Right.
Yeah.
Credibility. Well, I've already mentioned that at the very, very start. I don't think you would. Chances are you probably lived in a detached house if you owned one.
Yeah, I knew a couple of people back at school who did have one, and we were forever taking the piss out of them for it. So
probably a 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3.
Yeah. So I think 2 would.
Yeah, we'll go for 2. I think. Lifespan. I mean, as far as, and then we're talking more about games here. It was fairly short lived.
Yeah, very. As far as games go, I think again, Elite was its pinnacle, and that was 85.
45.
Yeah, 85.
Yeah.
So even though it carried on going, because I was still doing GCSE information technology on BBC Micro in 89, but I mean the games market for it by then had long since died out. So yeah, games lastability just wasn't there.
Wasn't it there? So the overall lifespan really was pretty short.
Yeah. So, I'd only give that, say, 3 or 4.
Yeah, go for 4, I think. Yeah. Basic. How usable was it? I think it was probably one of the best, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was staggering. I mean, learning basic on that thing, it was a breeze. It's not like I can't fault it, but yeah, it's definitely got to be a high scoring for that one. It's got to be
you have to go for 10. I think that's. I mean, you know what's on the list. I don't think there was any other computer that came that could beat it for basic. It was a.
Yeah. You put it like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess in that case, even if it's by default, it goes to 10.
I would say so. Yeah. May not be perfect, but compared to what we've got, so. Okay, right. We'll not announce what that one scored. Right, next one. I don't know. Let's go for the Tandy TRS 80. Now I know very, very little about that. Was the Tandy was that known as something else in America? I can't remember.
If it was, I don't know. I've only ever known it as the TRS 80.
Maybe you're right. Actually, maybe it wasn't. Right, I know absolutely nothing about this. What was the price quoted in? When did that publication come out, Chris? Can you tell? If you look at the very front cover, does it tell you?
I'm looking at the front here.
I'm thinking 83. Something's niggling me. It's 83.
You know what? It doesn't say anywhere on the front here. It says it cost 80p, but it doesn't tell you what year it came out. Bloody hell.
I think it was about 1983. It was early doors.
Yes.
What price?
1983. There we go.
Is it? There we go.
Yeah.
I knew that. What price was the Tandy coming out at?
Right, now, the Tandy isn't mentioned in the issue 1, but I do know they did cover it a bit later on. I remember it was around the 200 quid mark.
So that's pretty affordable. That's pretty affordable.
Well, it's certainly comparable with a lot of the other machines there. I mean, it was obviously it was more expensive than the likes of the Spectrum and and what have you. But it was cheaper than the Commodore 64, so it's not a terrible price.
I'm thinking about
I'd give
7
it
out of 10.
a 6 or a 7. Yeah, 7. Yeah,
7 out of 10. Graphics again. I know really nothing about. Have you had much experience with the graphics?
A little. They were utterly hideous. I would go so far as to say that in some games that I saw, well, I say so, I think I only ever actually saw 3, but some of them I was more impressed with the graphics on the Atari 2600 console than I was with this. So yeah, graphically, it's a no. Yeah.
I'm going to let you pick what you want to score it then, because I'm
very low. I'd give it 2.
2. Keyboard.
The keyboard I thought was diabolical. It looked really cheap. It wasn't a typewriter style keyboard. You imagine
membrane? It wasn't one of these membrane ones, was it? No.
No, well, right. What it was, you imagine how like the rubber keyed Spectrum looked.
Yeah.
But instead of the keys being rubber, they were this really cheap, nasty plastic, and it was horrible. It looked like a sort of pound shop keyboard sort of thing. It was, I would say, the second worst keyboard of any computer at the time. So I would be very tempted to just give it 1.
Right, okay, we'll go for that. When did it come out, actually?
It must have been out around 82 because I remember one time, I was with my dad. We were looking at buying our first computer before we got the Commodore 64. We were looking at getting. We were looking in this shop for the 64, and this salesman was constantly trying to get us to buy the TRS-80. And he failed spectacularly. So it must have been around 82.
And it was. I don't even recall seeing any. So availability games, I think we're going to have to put down as probably a 1. Eh?
Yeah, definitely.
You're not going to get any peripherals. Could you buy anything for it?
To be honest, that is a sort of grey area for me. I'm not that sure what it had in the way of peripherals. I mean, it must have had all your bog standard stuff. Obviously, it had like a tape drive.
Yeah.
It must have had some sort of disk drive. It must have had like a printer and that. But other than that...
And given how probably difficult it would actually be to get a hold of a TRS, chances are the peripherals would have probably been even scarcer. So
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Even if you wanted to get them, where would you find them? We might
be talking absolutely. There's probably going to be the TRS 80 Appreciation Society might be watching this a little bit.
I don't think they're going to think too highly of us. Yeah. I do remember it was a lot more popular in America than it was anywhere in Europe.
I think it was. Right, we don't really know. Will we give it a generous 4, do you think, just because we're not too sure?
Okay, yeah, all right, well, we'll do that.
We'll give it 4. Aesthetics, you're the man.
It looked horrible. I say that keyboard just looked absolutely hideous, looked like a real sort of pound shop jobby. It wasn't a nice looking thing. I'd give it about 2.
2, that's fine. Memory.
This computer's doing well, isn't it? Memory, Jesus Christ. I can't remember what the memory was in it now. It was either 16K or 48. I don't think it was 32. So we'll be generous and go on the assumption it was 48K, in which case it was not too bad, I suppose.
Maybe a six.
Yeah, it certainly deserves higher than half. So yeah, give it a 6.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably, again, 1 to 8 is probably going to be the 10 out of 10. So I think on that basis, we're probably talking about 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'd say okay. Yeah, give that 6.
Yeah. Okay. Pricey games again. Any idea? I've got no idea.
I think they were around the sort of Spectrum sort of price. So a quid less than the sort of considered norm, but try and finding the bloody things, So price of games.
Go for
I'd go for a 5 simply because, the price was reasonable, I guess, but you just couldn't find the damn things.
Well, we've scored on availability as a 1 of games, so based purely on price, if you could find them, they weren't too bad, so maybe a 7 or 8, a 7.5.
Actually, yeah, well, now you mention that. Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
Right, because it's purely on, right, okay. Credibility, if you had a TRS 80, did you get the shit kicked out of you?
Yeah, can we give a 0?
It's got a 0. Yep, there we go.
Right, there we go. Yeah.
First one. Lifespan. Well, I've been into computers longer than half probably our viewers have been alive. I don't recall ever seen one, so lifespan must have been pretty short, I'm guessing.
I'm well, in this country and probably throughout the rest of Europe, his lifespan probably totally non-existent. You could be looking at another 0, I think, for that.
Yeah. We'll be generous and say 1.
Okay, yeah. That's a generous score, 1.
Yeah. Okay, and finally basic. Again, have you any idea about the basic?
I never even attempted basic programming on it. So, I mean, I'm sure there were worse out there. If one springs to mind, of course. But
we'll go down the middle and say 5 then, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll have to for that.
Aye. As you can tell, this is an accurate. This is an accurate.
Yeah, remember, this is the definitive guide.
It's a Lukozer Meister scale. That's what this is. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's move on to the Atari.
Why not? I to be the first one on that scale,
Right. We'll move on to something slightly that I can at least talk about. The Atari 400, which came out about. I think it came out exactly the same time as Atari 800.
Yeah, I think it was like a cheaper alternative to the 800.
It was a cheaper alternative to the Atari 800 for a couple of reasons. Price wise, now I know the Atari 800 was pretty much up there with, I think it was about 300 quid. The Atari 400 was cheaper.
It was half the price.
Was it? How much is it coming up in that?
Yeah, 150 on this.
Right. So that would be, bear in mind that's 1983. So that's quite good. So I would
as you got a fairly big old lump of a computer for 150 quid. That price sounds bloody good.
So I think when we go for an 8 out of 10 for price. Graphics, Christ, I've got one, but I've never actually used it. I think. Does it actually tell you much about it? I don't actually know if it had the same graphic capability as the 800.
It probably had close to all of the graphic capabilities of the 800. I dare say it was somewhat lobotomized in some areas.
Yeah, but I didn't have the same memory, obviously. I don't know if it had the same.
No, that's right. Yeah, the memory was a lot lower. And I think its processor was a bit slower. But other than that, I think the graphics capability was more or less the same.
What about colours?
I'm sure they had the same colour palette.
Aye. Well, I mean, I know the Atari 800 is a pretty damn good machine for graphics, so we're going to go for maybe 8 out of 10 for graphics.
Yeah,
Happy enough with that.
I'd go with that.
Wait a minute. Sorry, I've completely omitted to put one category in, which I'm going to add in just now, and that is sound.
Oh,
How did we miss that one? Wait a minute. Right.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Right, okay, we'll finish this one, then we can go back and debate the BBC. Right, the sound for Atari 400. I think it's the same as 800. It sounds pretty good. I mean, I've heard some decent tunes in it.
Yeah, the Atari 800 could certainly bang out some decent chip
Aye,
tunes. So if the Atari 400 had the same audio
I
capabilities,
think
then yeah,
so.
it's going to
Probably
be
a
all right.
7 out of 10.
Yeah, yeah,
Seven
I
out of
think that's
10.
right.
Right, okay. Keyboard. Well, I can categorically say the keyboard is shit.
Yeah.
Its membrane, it's kind of more in common with the ZX81. Slightly
Yes.
more tactile feel. It's basically between. It's between a ZX81 and a Spectrum. I'm going to have to go for probably a 3, I think.
I think you're a bit generous there.
You think
I
so?
thought the keyboard was horrible.
Maybe.
When I was using one, I was having to really press down hard on that bloody
To get it to,
touchpad
yeah.
just to get it to appear on the screen. I hated it.
We'll go for 2.5, do you think, yeah?
Okay, all right, we'll go.
Two-
Okay, we'll go for that then.
2.5.
That's the
Availability
sort
of
of
games.
compromise score.
Availability of games. Now, I suppose we're kind of basing this on as being based in the UK. In America, there are a lot of games. I mean, there are a huge number of games. I suppose we've got to give it a good score because there were a lot of games available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the beginning there
Yeah.
was, a reasonable amount for this thing. So,
Yeah, I think we need to be pretty generous. I think we need to go for about an 8.
that sounds quite generous. Okay. I mean, I was thinking more 6 or 7, but
Okay, we'll go for. We'll meet in the middle again. We'll go for a 7 because there's if you go into. I mean, there were a lot of games put out for it. Peripherals again. You could get a lot. You could get a disc drive.
yeah. Remember, there were a hell of a lot of peripherals for it.
Yeah, there was printers, joysticks.
Some of the peripherals weren't brilliant. I seem to recall that the disk drive had a dreadfully small capacity per disk. But I don't know if we're actually considering that as within the score.
The quality of peripherals, yeah. I think we kind of have to take it based on just there were a lot. You could expand it a lot. There was a lot of things you could do. I think there was. Could you get dedicated Atari monitors for it? I can't remember.
I don't remember ever seeing one, but that doesn't mean they didn't exist.
I'm sure they would have because I mean Atari primarily was based at the sort of business end, and I'm sure they would have probably brought out. I think we need to. Yeah, I mean the BBC scored 9.5. I think we need to be probably an 8 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, I'll go along with that.
Aesthetics. For me, from a rose-coloured spectacles nostalgic viewpoint, I think it's a lovely computer, but as an actual, how cool would it look on a wall or something? It looks like one of the original computers. I'm maybe slightly biased. I quite like the look of it.
I mean, that touchpad keyboard didn't do it many favours as far as the aesthetics goes. I was never that impressed with how it looked. Yeah. I mean, I would only give it a 5 at best.
Okay, I'm going to round it up to 6 because I would disagree. I think we'll go for 6 if that's all right.
Okay.
Memory, I think it had less. I think it had.
Yeah, 16K.
16K, so not a great deal. Not a great deal of memory.
Yeah, too small, and you couldn't expand it either.
So probably about 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'll go halfway between the two, so 3.5.
Yeah. Pricey games, I can't comment, but I would imagine games were fairly affordable when they were out.
Yeah, most of the Atari 400 games I saw were again Mastertronic. So, but I mean, you can't really just go by them because otherwise you're saying, oh, every game was $1.99, therefore it was great.
Aye.
I mean, they were certainly cheaper than games for the 2600 console.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Then that's really not difficult. I mean, those were prohibitively expensive. But yeah, I always thought, aren't they going to be around the sort of Spectrum price range?
I don't know. I know the Atari 800. I think they were slightly more. I think they were more than the C64 one.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know. I'm thinking we gave the BBC 7, so I'm thinking maybe about same kind of score, do you think?
Yeah, okay, give it the
There's
same
not
sort
a
of score.
huge scope between that credibility. If you're being honest, you're in the playground and your mates C64, Spectrum, Atari. I've got an Atari 400. You're not going to be very.
No.
Chances are you probably.
If you had the 800, different story, but the
Yeah.
400, no.
Chances are, if you had the 400, you would be eating your play piece on your own. I think so. I think I think that needs to probably be about the three.
Yeah, I was thinking 3. Yeah.
Lifespan. Again,
Didn't
it
have
did
one,
come out. It came out pretty early. It came out about 78, 79. But it was.
I didn't know it came out as early as that.
Yeah, it did. It came out at the same time as the Atari 800. I mean, it was kind of ahead of its time, but I suppose by the time it came to the UK, there weren't really. It wasn't around for that long. I'm thinking maybe 3-4
Certainly
years.
not when you consider, it had something like 3 or 4 year head start over the big three as they. Yeah, it wasn't that long really.
You'd be looking by the time you got to about probably 1984. You're probably there was no software
by that time. Yeah, you weren't going to be finding too many.
I'm thinking probably about a 4. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Basic. I don't know very much about the Atari. I know you do get a separate cartridge, which I've got. Basic. Don't know much about it.
Okay. I remember trying a demonstration model, and I did the old usual, 10 print, blah blah blah, 20 go to 10, and it wouldn't work.
Oh well, that's got to knock it down a couple of points just for that.
So if it couldn't do that, then there was something very wrong.
For that, I think we're going to give it a 4. How's that?
Right. Okay. Right.
Right. Let's go for the VIC 20. Price.
Okay. Price on the VIC 20. 130, but it says here 130 including extras. So if you got the VIC 20 on its own, it would have been less than that.
Less than that. So that's pretty good. That was pretty affordable.
I think, yeah.
So maybe probably be going for about an 8 again. You think?
I think 8 is a bit generous.
You think?
Drop it down to about 7.
7. Graphics. Not great, were they?
Yeah, they weren't fantastic. The trouble is the resolution on it was so low.
Yeah.
So
3, 4. I'm thinking.
I'm thinking around that 3 or 4.
Yeah, I suppose I think the ZX81 is going to be probably a 1. So we're thinking maybe go for a 4. You think?
Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. We'll go.
Settle on a 4. Sound. Again, I've not got, considering how much a massive Commodore fan I am. I've got a VIC 20, but I don't have any way to play games in it. I don't have much experience of it. The sound, it wasn't obviously as good as the SID chip, but...
Well, that's it. The thing with the VIC 20 is when it came to music, it was terrible. But when it came to sound effects, I thought it was great. There are plenty of VIC 20 games that I've played and seen, where the audio, it does almost sound like you're in an arcade hall.
Right, aye.
I mean, obviously, it's not going to be, the same sort of sound quality as, arcade coin-op games.
Yeah.
They just really captured the sort of like shoot 'em up sort of atmosphere. So I thought that actually the VIC 20 audio was pretty good.
Yeah, no, go along with that. What were we saying? 7?
I was thinking, 7 I think's good. Yeah. So music wise, but sound effects wise, absolutely superb, yeah.
Keyboard looked nice, but was it the same as the C64? Very spongy, springy.
Yeah, if you had the bread bin or whatever it is they called 64, that very spongy, springy feel.
There's a lot of travel in the keys, eh?
So I wasn't a big fan of the keyboard.
Yeah.
I'd give it 5. 5 at best, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Availability of games, well, there was a lot of games.
Yeah, there was a good amount when it started. So, you know, I mean, okay, they did tail off, but they did take a little while to tail off, actually. It's not
Did they?
like they just suddenly boom,
Yeah.
disappeared, you know. So,
There
I
was
wouldn't
there,
say that the
yeah.
availability was terrible.
Yeah. What were we thinking? Seven, 7.5.
Uh, I'd say 7, yeah. I don't think any more than 7.
Right. Okay. Peripherals. I think that you could did that. You could use disk drives and that in it as well, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so you had the cassette, there was a Commodore monitor, disk drive, printer, joystick. I think it only had the one joystick port, didn't it?
It did actually. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So we're
so it loses.
thinking maybe about a
So,
6.5, 7.
as low as that, oh, I was thinking more sort of,
All right.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, all right, yeah,
Maybe
maybe a
go
7, yeah.
go for well. We gave the Atari 100, 408 for peripherals, so probably
Okay. Well, in that case, right,
give
yeah,
it
give that the same score,
give
so
it an
give that
8.
one
Yeah.
up.
Aesthetics.
Um, it it was very functional, I think.
And
They didn't go mad with trying to make it look
it was
fantastic, did
that
they?
what colour was it? Was it kind of off white, kind of yellowy, or
It was very white. I don't. It, yeah, it certainly wasn't yellowing. Well, not when you
well
first
the one
bought it,
I've got is
anyway.
bright yellow.
That's
Shows
it.
your
Yeah,
age.
it's the old cheap plastic that goes yellow as it ages. But yeah, when it first came along, I think it was. I think it was white. So in that regard, well, uh, yeah, it looked okay, but
um,
if I was generous, I'd give it 6.
6. I was just like going to say, I was going to say 6 myself. Yeah, yeah. Memory wasn't great, was it? 4K.
5A, but plenty of memory expansions for it. You could expand it up to 32.
Yeah.
Uh, but
But
did
based
anyone
on what
ever,
it came with, it was
based on what
4K.
it came with, not great.
It was. I think it was 4K. So I'm thinking 3, 2.5, 3,
uh, well,
4K.
I go
So
3. Yeah, of those scores, I go for the higher end of that. I'll give it 3.
3. Nah, it's a generous 3, I think. Pricey games. I think the games are fairly competitively priced, weren't they? I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were obviously cheaper than the Commodore
Aye.
64.
So maybe about a 7.5, 7, 7.5,
I'd a little bit more, give it 8.
8. Yeah. Credibility. I think it was quite cool to own a Vic 20. Bear in mind it
Especially
came out. Yeah.
at the time when it came out, most people I knew, if you didn't have a computer, you would have an Atari 2600. And then this thing came along, and for a lot of the time, it was you either had the Atari console or you had a VIC 20. And of course, the VIC 20 being a computer, not a
Yeah.
console. Yeah, the credibility was there.
Aye, and it was aye. I mean, it was full colour, and it also had
Yeah,
William Shatner advertising it. So there you go. That ramps the
yeah,
credibility.
there you go. What more could you want?
I think we need to give that a good 8.5. It was a pretty cool computer to own.
Okay, yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds all right.
yeah. Big 20 was a great lifespan.
Um, it wasn't terrible. You know, it hung around for a fair bit. I think the memory expansions helped a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know,
I
if
mean,
you, I think what we need to think about is if you bought one when it first came out, did you get your value for money? I think it was out. It ran for a good number of years.
yeah. When did it come out? Was it like 1980? I think that thing came along.
Was it as early as that? Maybe it was. Maybe it was. I mean, the 64 was about 83.
No, 64 was 82 because that
82,
because
yeah.
when our one it was at 82
So
and it was
if it came
yeah.
out about what 80, it wasn't really a thing by about 83, was it?
Um,
80, maybe I don't think I can't recall seeing Vic 20 games in 1984.
I'm pretty sure I was still seeing them around 84. I mean, I knew someone at school who had one, and he was still buying games for it in 85.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
it,
they were still around then.
so it maybe had about 5 years lifespan. So maybe about a 6.
6 sounds a bit mean. Bump it up to 7, I think.
Right, well, we'll go for 6.5
Or
then, eh?
meet in the middle, yeah,
We'll
six and a
go for
half.
6.5. Basic. If it's anything like the C64 basic,
Uh,
it's not good.
yeah, basic was horrible. Programming that thing, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Well, it suffered from the same problem as the 64. It was all poke and peak and everything,
And
you know.
coupled with the fact that there was very little memory to play with as well, it wasn't up to much. It was probably slow.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking? Are we thinking 2 or 3?
Yeah, I'd be around that sort of way. Yeah, give it
Probably
3.
one of the worst. Yeah, we'll go for 3. Give it a generous 3. Okay, right. Right, moving things on a wee bit. Let's go for the Commodore 128. The price.
It was stupidly expensive, as I recall. I can't remember exactly how much it was. Wasn't it something like 400 or something?
It was.
May even have been more than that.
I only knew one person that had it, and I think the only game he had in it was Silent Service. I don't even know if that was if it was upgraded at all.
So was that actually a dedicated 128?
I don't think it was.
All right. I mean, I knew one person who had a 128, and I don't think he had any 128 games. Every time he started it up, it would either be, holding down the Commodore key or type Go 64 every single time.
That says it all. So I'm thinking price, Chris. It was pretty damned expensive. So what we're thinking, we're going for maybe about a 2 or a 3.
Yeah, I think so. It was far too expensive. I mean, well, we'll come back to what I was going to say in a bit.
We'll go for 2.5, I think.
Yeah.
Graphics, was it any more power? Could it display better graphics than the C64?
So yeah, this is where the 128 gets a bit difficult. Yes, it could do better graphics than the Commodore 64, but only if you're running it in, a particular mode. If you had it in 128 mode, it couldn't access, I think, some parts of... there are people out there who know far more about the internal workings of this thing than I do, who could probably give you a better description. But yeah, if it was running in 128 mode, there was some of the internal hardware it couldn't access properly. And so you would then have to be, if you were really going to be coding games for it, you had to be running it in 64 mode, really. So graphics-wise, it had the potential to produce better graphics, but it hardly ever did.
Did it have sprites, I take it? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It had hardware sprites.
So technically, you're basing it purely on its ability. It was, would it be slightly higher than the C64 then? We would have to rate it. So
to be honest, the visual improvements were used so rarely that I would give it the same score as a 64. I couldn't really say it's better.
I suppose we've got to base it. We need to base it. One thing we haven't got is how good were the games. I suppose we've got to base it on the graphics of the games. So were the graphics any better than the C64? Probably not.
No.
So what we're saying, maybe an 8 out of 10? 9 out of 10?
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to go for 9. I mean, 9. Just because they weren't better than the Commodore 64 doesn't mean they didn't look great,
Yeah. Sound, did it have a subject?
Yeah. It had a slightly updated version of the SID
It's
chip.
got a 10. I would actually give it 11, but that's got a 10. I mean, I think we know where we're coming from. We know that it's going to have the best sound, bar none. Keyboard, was it the same as the C64? No, it wasn't.
It was a similar one to the 64C, the updated one. The one that the 64 was supposed to be right from the start. So the keyboard wasn't bad. It was certainly an improvement on the Commodore 64, but that's not difficult, really. So I would be inclined to give it.
Based on the VIC-20 was given 5. Where would you
We
pitch
were
it?
quite generous there, weren't we? I'd give it 8.
Right, okay. That's. Is it better than the C64 one?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Imagine a sort of hybrid between the 64 keyboard and an Amiga keyboard.
Right, okay.
And
I'm happy with that. I was going to say that's a bit generous, but if it was better than the C64 one, then I'm happy with that. Availability of games, I don't think we'll have to debate that. There wasn't much at all, was there?
No.
So that's going to be probably a 1, you think?
Yeah, I think so. So few 128 games.
You know.
I mean, obviously, it helps that you could run 64 games on it.
I'm just conscious that we're at an hour and we've only done 5 systems. So I think what we'll do is we'll try and speed it up a wee bit, Chris.
Okay, right, go on then.
Peripherals, again, that's going to be pretty high.
Yes, they were pretty good. Give them 8.
Probably an 8, I think. Yeah. I mean, this could run for 5 hours if we discuss the great length. There's some that we'll be able to talk about a bit more, but I think these other ones we need to batter on about. Aesthetics.
I think it looked really nice. I always liked it.
Did you? Was it nicer than the C64? Aye, was it?
Oh yeah, it looked a lot nicer. Well, it certainly looked a lot nicer than the bread bin 64.
Aye. It was kind of like the Amiga. In fact, was it quite similar to the 64C?
Yeah, very similar to it.
Aye, that's quite nice looking.
Yeah.
So what we're thinking, maybe about a 7?
I'd even go up from that. I'd go to 8 for that.
Okay.
So meeting a bit of 7.5.
Yep. Memory, well that's going to get a 10 out of 10, isn't it?
No doubt about that.
Pricey games, were they a bit more expensive?
The dedicated 128 ones, I don't think I ever saw a price to. So I'm thinking same price.
The higher end, I mean the C64 were always higher than the Spectrum, so I'm thinking probably about a 6.
Yeah, that sounds alright.
Credibility.
That's a weird one because
nobody had them.
Yeah. The guy I knew who had one, everyone kept taking the piss out of him because it's like, well, you could have just got a 64 for less money, just like that, you know. So
they maybe didn't realise that technically the 128 was an enhanced Commodore 64, but people probably didn't really know what it was. So,
and also, of course, the thing was barely out a year, and then along came the Amiga and just killed it. So
credibility, were you looked upon as being pretty cool if you had a 128?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I think we need to go for a
3.
Yeah, tend to agree with you. Lifespan, that's a 2, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're generous with 2.
Yeah, well, go for 1. Yeah, that was pretty short.
I mean, it's a great computer, but it was pretty much dead on arrival.
Aye, it was. What about BASIC? Was that any better than the C64?
Exactly the same as like the 64, horrible. So I'd give it the same score as the VIC-20.
A 3, yeah. Listen, right, okay, that's fine. What I think we should do is talk about the C64 now, just since we're in the same vein, we can be able to do it quicker. The price of the C64, it was pretty...
that was 300 when it was new.
When it first came out, but then it did fall pretty quick, didn't it?
Yeah, because they were just shifting so many, and they also they were trying to bury Sinclair and the Spectrum, so it did come down a fair old whack.
So yeah,
I'll give it 7.
A 7, yeah. Graphics got to be.
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
It's got to be like, you know,
a 10.
Yeah, I was going.
I mean, you know,
at least not.
Look at some of the, look at games like your Iridium or Impossible Mission, whatever. Beachhead 2. In the right hand, it's amazing. The sound's a 10. The keyboard,
no question.
The keyboard's going to be the same as.
It's got to be the same as Vic because it was basically a VIC-20 with a different colour to it.
So it's going to be a 5. Availability of games is going to be a 9.5, 10 in it. 10.
If the Spectrum 10, then give this 9.5.
Yeah. Peripherals is going to be an 8. I'm going to give it slightly more because I mean there was things like freeze cartridges, there was memory things and all that. I'm going to give that a. I think we need to go for an 8.5. 9.
Yep, I'll go with that. Yeah.
Go for a 9. I think. I mean, it was aesthetics. Same as
Yeah.
the Vic 20.
Well, the thing is, it was a Vic 20, but it was in brown. I mean, brown is always such a great colour, isn't it?
Aye.
So I'd give it half a mark less than the Vic 20.
5.5, I think. Yep. Memory, pretty good. 8.5, 9. 9.
Go 8.
8. Yeah. Pricey games. Going to be a 7 again. It was pretty par for the BBC and Atari, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, so
7.
we'll stick with that.
Credibility.
Of course, it was the big Commodore 64V Spectrum war, wasn't it? You know, so it depended on who you asked.
Aye.
Of course,
I don't think there's going to be a 10. There's not going to be a 10 in this category for any computer.
But here's the thing: we were both C64 owners, so
Yeah.
give it a.
So yeah, I mean, you were going to be pretty popular having one, as you would if you had a Spectrum. So I think it's going to be an 8.
An 8? Okay, alright.
Or do we go for that? I suppose we need to base it on the sliding scale that the Spectrum and the C64 were going to be the most popular credibility. So we need to go for 10. That's going to be a 10.
Okay, well then.
Yeah. Lifespan. That's
It
going
went
to
on
be
for
a 10.
yeah, it's got to be a 10.
I mean, that was out for. I think they're still making games. I mean, the fact they're still making games now says it all.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Basic the basic's going to be a 3 as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's move down to the Dragon 32. I don't know much about it. The price of it, was it about 150 quid or something?
It was, I think it was slightly more, yeah, 175 for Dragon 32. I always had a soft spot for the Dragon 32, but it was a bit pricey for what you got.
So what, we're thinking a 6?
No, I'd give it below average, so I'll give it 4.
A 4, okay. Graphics, the colour palette was pretty horrible. A lot of greens, I think.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't the nicest on-screen display you're ever going to see. I'd be looking
4
at
again.
3. Okay, I was thinking 3. Meet in the middle, 3.5.
3.5. Sound.
The sound was no great shakes either, if I remember. Actually, no, tell a lie. Did it have an internal speaker? Let me just check.
No, it came out the. Oh no,
Came out of television.
I owned one. I owned one for a short time. No, I think it came out the TV.
Oh, in that case, that helps. And there's me saying they weren't great, but I'm just thinking, I always thought, yeah, the ones I've heard, sound effects wise, it's comparable to the Vic 20. Music wise, forget it. It's, yeah.
What are you thinking? We scored the Vic 7.
It wasn't quite as good as that. Give it 6.
6. Okay. Keyboards. A bit. It was similar to the C64, I think.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it had that. I mean, it looked nice, but it was a bit spongy
again. I think we're going to go for about a 5 probably.
Yeah, that works.
Availability of games.
Oh no, that was not good.
Was it not really? Was there not a lot of games?
You'd be looking at like a 2 or a 3 for that.
Okay, we'll go for a 3. Peripherals, okay. I have no idea.
There were plenty for it, but of course, because no one actually
getting a hold of them.
Anyone did.
So it's probably like the Tandy, probably about a 4.
Yeah, so yeah.
Aesthetics.
It had BBC micro syndrome, didn't it? It had the big part of it all sticking out the back. So I would score it around the same as the BBC.
We give that a 5.
Okay. No, it's not quite as good. Yeah, okay, yeah.
4.5. Memory. Now, I know there was 2 different flavours, but we're going to go with the most common one, the Dragon 32.
That's a 32K.
6.
Half of the course, so yeah, alright, 6.
6, yeah. Pricey games, not quite sure.
I thought they were around the sort of price of the Spectrum.
Well, so that would maybe be 7.5, 8.
Yeah, go 7.5.
7.5. Okay. Credibility, nah. Nah, that's going to have to be a 2, I think, eh?
Yeah.
Lifespan, not
And
great.
that was non-existent as well. Yeah, I'd
You
only
think
be
a
giving
2?
that 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go for 2.5.
Right.
And the basic, I don't know much about the basic.
To be honest, I don't know either. So
We'll give it a 5, I think.
we'll have
We
to
don't
give
know
it a
much
5.
about
Yeah,
it.
because we don't really know.
Okay, right. We're going to. Well, again, I'm just conscious how many we've done and how many we've still got to go. The Texas, I can comment on that. The price, I think it was fairly affordable. It was just over the 100. Was it about 150 quid, something like that?
150 quid.
Was
Yeah.
it? There we go. Perfect. So probably about an 8, I would say.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was pretty affordable.
I mean, I did have
Graphics.
it briefly, but I got it second hand, so I only got it for 25 quid.
Yeah. Graphics wise, I've seen some pretty good games in it. It wasn't great,
Okay.
but it was certainly more capable than the games that I had for it. Probably I'm going to go for like a 6, I think.
All right. Okay.
Are you happy enough with that? Sound.
I've never seen any games for it, so
Yeah. Sound.
sound. I thought sound on it was quite basic. I wasn't very impressed with it.
I'm thinking maybe 6 again.
I
Or
think that's a bit
5.
generous, but yeah,
Go
all
for a
right,
5.
5. Yeah.
Keyboard was alright. It was
Yeah, I didn't mind the keyboard on
probably
it
better than
actually.
the C64.
Yeah, definitely.
Thinking maybe a 7?
Yeah,
Seven
I'd
and a
go for
half?
that. Yeah. It was pretty good.
What are you
So
thinking?
yeah,
A
I'd go.
7, 7.5?
Go 7. Yeah.
7. Availability of games was shit.
Forget it.
It's got to be a. I only had one game for it, so it's getting a 1 because of that.
Right.
Peripherals, I think there was a lot. It also had a really cool synthesizer as well, speech synthesizer.
Right.
So I think there were quite a few peripherals. Again, getting a hold of them probably wasn't the easiest, so
Yes.
it's going to have to
But,
go probably a 3 or a 4, I think.
Okay, all right.
Probably a 3. Aesthetics, I thought it was really that was why my mum and dad bought that, because it looked nice. It was all shiny, kind of blasted metal aluminium. It looked quite nice.
Okay, got a bit of a difference of opinion here because I was never that keen on how it looked. I thought it looked very ordinary. I just wasn't a big fan of that big cartridge slot to the
It had this
side.
big space at the side.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we thinking?
I'm thinking 5 at
5.
best.
Right, we'll go for 5.5, because I would say 6, so we'll meet in the middle.
Right.
Memory, I think...
16K, but you could expand it.
It's again, based on what it had, it's probably going to be a 3, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Pricey games, they were non-existent.
Yeah.
I paid £5.50 for a basic game. Pricey games, we'll give it 6, I think.
All right. Go on, yeah.
Credibility is going to be a bloody 1.
Can we get the bonuses? Yeah.
Lifespan is Christ.
Well,
Probably
yeah.
I'm going to give it 0.5 for lifespan.
Yeah, there you go.
And basic, I can't remember much. You know what? I'm going to give it quite a bonus point because my mate he started writing Defender for me on it because I didn't have any other games, and he only got as far as the ship, but it had a really cool firing, the Defender where it go,
Yeah.
and it kind of breaks up a big laser. So I'm going to give it, for basic, I'm going to give it probably a 6. Because the fact that he managed to get Defender running on it was...
I remember composing a little tune on my PI, and it wasn't actually too bad to program. So yeah, I think 6 is all right.
Right, okay. Right, next up, what will we go for? Let's go for the... We're going to do these two in conjunction with one another, the Auric 1 and the Auric Atmos. The Auric 1 came out first, then Atmos...
that was 130.
So what was the Auric 1?
So it was 130. I mean, it's a bit of a pain because it came out in 2 different models. There was a 16K and a 48K.
Aye.
16K was 130, the 48K was 170.
So the Auric 1 would get about 6 for price, you think?
Yeah, I'd go along that. I mean, everyone bought the 48k one because there was so little difference in the price between the two. Everyone just
Aye.
went.
What about the Atmos? Is that there as well, Chris?
The Atmos came along later. It's not on this list, but that was around the same price. It was basically just a replacement for the Auric one. So,
Aye. So we'll give that a 6 again then. We'll just do these both since they're quite similar. Graphics. I think it was kind of very, very similar to the Spectrum.
yeah, that's it. Very Spectrum-esque
So
graphics
maybe
there.
6.5.
6, I think. Yeah,
Six.
I wouldn't go much higher than
So
that.
we'll score the Atmos the same because I think they were basically the same computer, maybe apart from the memory. Sound, I do remember the sound had like the basic commands. You had like bang and boom, and you actually typed that and it would go boom or explosion.
Yeah.
The sound I think was again it was probably VIC 20.
Yeah, but these ones, they did come out of the. It had an internal speaker,
Aye,
didn't it?
so we'll mark it down a wee bit for that. So maybe
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, go on then.
Go for
it's very
6.
run of the mill at the moment, this thing.
Yeah. The keyboard, the Auric one
The Auric one was horrible. The keyboard was one of the worst I've ever used. I'd only give it about 2.
That's fine. What about the Atmos? I know that was actually my mate's got an Atmos
much
and it's
better.
actually quite nice. Although
Yeah,
it's small, it's the size of Spectrum.
Yeah, that's it. But it was just much nicer keyboard to use. I quite liked it. I'd give it about 7.
7. I was going to say 7. Yep. Okay. Availability of games pretty poor.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't the worst, but yeah, it wasn't
4.
great. I'll go with that.
Thinking 4 for both of them. Peripherals, I don't really know.
I don't think there was a hell of a lot actually.
3.
Yeah, give it 3.
3 each. Aesthetics, Auric 1 was pretty damned ugly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looks a bit like more like a calculator than an actual computer. So it wasn't great. I'd give that.
Or 2, 1.5.
Okay, go 2. I wouldn't go any lower than 2.
The Atmos was quite nice.
That
It was quite
one looked
sexy looking,
much better.
black with kind of red.
That's right. Yeah, the black and red worked really well. I quite liked how
Quite
it
nice. My mate bought one fairly recently. It's actually quite. I'm thinking maybe an 8 for aesthetics.
looked. I'll go with 8. Yeah.
Memory, the Auric again, 48k. So we're probably talking about a 7 for memory.
Yeah, it's better. It's above par. So yeah, go with
the Atmos. What did that have memory wise?
Well, the Atmos was the same. It was
Was it?
48k.
Okay, that's going to be that. Pricey games. I'm assuming they were part of
So
this.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, in line with Spectrum.
So maybe an 8, but they slightly more expensive or cheaper than the C64. Do you think?
They were certainly cheaper than C64.
So we'll give it an 8 then. I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Credibility. If you owned an Auric, nah.
I don't think you really had any. No.
Nah. So I'm thinking a 2.
I'll go with 2.
And I would be inclined to say, given the atmosphere might leave it even later, I'm inclined to say that Atmos probably had even less credibility because nobody owned them.
Yeah, you could be onto something there.
Maybe 1.5.
Yeah, rather pains me. I am a bit biased towards the Atmos, so giving it 1.5. It's a bit painful, but yeah, it is true.
Lifespan's going to be pretty short.
Pretty low, yeah.
3 or
the
4,
Atmos
I'm thinking.
The Atmos was pretty much dead on arrival.
So that's going to get a 2 or a 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as high as 2.
Yeah.
I'd give the Pattern 1.
What about the Auric? A 3 maybe.
Well, I'd be inclined to give it a 1, but actually thinking about it, yeah, there were some games for it, so yeah,
2.
okay, yeah, give it 2.
Basic. Again, the basic was, I remember my mate programming.
Yeah, it was alright.
It was quite, I wouldn't say it was easy to use, but he was able to knock out a few wee mini games, so I'm thinking maybe a 6.5, 7?
Yeah, I'll go with that,
6.5. Okay, 6.5, there we go. Right, let's see what we'll do now. Let's go for the Amstrad. Amstrad was initially, it was expensive because it had the screen.
Yeah,
You got a lot for your money, but it was quite expensive. So 6 maybe.
And it looks like this is gone again.
Oh. Right, and we're back again after another technical fault. Bloody broadband.
Another.
So where were we? Yeah, Amstrad. It was expensive to get going. So I think we need to go for probably I'm thinking a 6, maybe.
Okay, I was thinking low.
We
scored
the BBC 2, but then you were getting so what, maybe 4. You think?
Yeah, I would go with 4 for that.
If you wanted to get the green screen, it was slightly cheaper, but you wouldn't. Graphics.
Yeah.
The graphics.
I mean, I am quite biased against the Amstrad actually, so my scores are probably not the best to go on with it.
I'm going to fight in its corner. I mean, I have got an Amstrad. I've got an Amstrad the GX4000, which is effectively the console version of Amstrad. The graphics had the potential to be exceptional or utter shit. But we've got to base it on the majority games. I'm thinking maybe 7. I know you're thinking less.
I'm thinking a lot less because I've got Space Harrier in my head. So,
dearie me, yeah. I'm gonna say a good 7.
Okay, right. I'll go with you on that.
Happy with that? Yeah, I know you're not happy with that, but sound again. It had the ability to do some decent wee tunes. It wasn't up there with the SID. I'm thinking maybe 6.5, maybe.
Okay, I'll go with you on that one. I wouldn't be going quite that high, but
yeah. Well, listen, we'll go for 6, and I'll give you half back.
Okay, right.
Keyboard's not bad, not as good as the BBC, certainly better than the C64.
It always sort of looked and felt a bit cheapy to me, but yeah, it still felt better to use.
Felt better than the C64, so I'm thinking a 7 maybe.
Okay, all right then. I'd have gone a little bit lower. I was thinking between. Okay, well, we'll compromise with that one, 6.5.
Okay. Availability games, well, that was pretty second to none. That's going to be about a 9, I think.
Yeah.
There was a lot of games. Peripherals, don't recall. I'm not overly sure about peripherals.
So I'd be thinking around 4 or 5.
I don't know. I'm not really too sure. Obviously, you got the monitor with it. I don't know whether. I mean, I don't know if Amstrad brought out many things for it. We'll stick with 4. Aesthetics. It was very much. It was your monitor and your keyboard, eh?
I again because. It could just be the Amstrad brand. Everything about Amstrad just always seemed really cheap and nasty to me. So I didn't think it looked particularly good.
It just looked like a computer.
Yeah, it was very functional.
It looked more like a modern day PC monitor with a keyboard.
Yeah. So I would be inclined to give it 5.
Ooh, I was going to say 4.5, but yeah.
Okay, right. Well, there you go. Right.
Well, we'll go for 5. We'll go for 5. Memory, it was pretty good. It had 64K, so it's going to get probably about 8, I think.
Yeah. That sounds fine.
Pricey games, they were on par with the 64, so it's going to be a 7, I think.
Yeah, because they were on par with the 64, but the games tended to be more, the games themselves tend to be more on par with the Spectrum, so I think you were being charged too much for it.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with you. Credibility, it's not up there with the C64, maybe
Everyone I knew when I was at school, it was always, if you had an Amstrad, it was because you couldn't afford a Commodore 64. So, yeah, they didn't have a lot of credibility.
Ironically, even though it was actually more expensive.
Well, yeah, that's the weird thing, yeah. So
Credibility.
it didn't have a lot of credibility where I was, anyway.
I don't remember there being any of the computer at my computer club. There was nobody with Amstrads. It's got to be
It was still always 64p Spectrum, so the Amstrad was the outsider all the
Yes.
time. So it's going to be low. I'd give it 4 at
I was
the
thinking.
best.
I'm thinking. We'll meet in the middle. I was thinking 5, so we'll go for 4.5.
Okay, got 4.5. Yeah.
If this video doesn't get a lot of down thumbs, I'll eat my hat. Honestly.
Especially after this bit.
How to piss people off and alienate people and within an hour, yeah. Lifespan.
Doing it fine.
Lifespan was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit late to the scene, but I mean,
aye.
when it did come along, it hung around for a fair while.
A long time. I'm thinking probably about an 8.
Okay, I was thinking 7, so meet and a half. Meet in the middle there, 7.5.
7.5. Basic.
I haven't got a clue with that one.
I think it was. Was it Microsoft Basic or something I had? I think so. I'm going to put my neck out and give it a 7.5 because I think it was pretty good Basic. Maybe stand corrected. Right, to mix things up a little bit, your favourite computer. Well, so you told me it was the Mattel Aquarius.
What a fantastic machine, eh?
I always remember seeing that in John Menzies, and it was like the cheapest computer. And that's like 70 quid or something compared to everything else. So price wise, it was what's it coming up?
Great. Well, it's not in
right.
It hadn't came out when this was published.
It was pretty dirt cheap, so I'm going to, based purely on price, I'm going to give it an 8, I think.
Yeah, I'll go along with that, yeah.
An 8. Graphics. It was
not good, let's say.
No. I'm thinking a 2 or a 1, maybe probably a 1.
I'd go that low, 1.
Sound.
Again, we're not looking at anything. It wasn't ever going to rival the SID chip.
Aye. I don't know much about it other than we'll need to give it a... Will we give it a lofty 2 or a 1? Would you think?
Okay, right, yeah, we'll give it a generous 2.
Keyboard. That's going to be... It's awful, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked nice, but using it, it was
terrible.
Horrible.
I think it was just there was unresponsive. So, I mean, we scored the Atari 400 2.5, so I think we need to knock it down by a point, probably. Or 2.
Okay, right. Yeah, I would go with 2.
Availability games, that's a 0.
Yeah, definitely.
Peripherals, 0.
Why this was so cheap.
Aesthetics, are we going to give it a half? Or?
I mean, this is a painful admission. I thought it did look nice. I liked the blue keyboard. Okay, the keyboard was shit to use, but it did look...
Based purely on aesthetics, what are you saying to me?
I'm thinking like 7.
Whoa. Okay, right. Listen, you obviously know more about it than I am. I'll go along with you.
Okay, there we go.
I thought the keys are horrible, so I'm going to take half a point off for that. So we'll go for 6.5.
6.5 then.
Memory. I've got.
I think it was quite low. I think it was only about 16k. So
2 or 3.
Yeah, I'll give it 3. I mean, there's a reason why it was so cheap. It just
it was a cheapo. It was like a toy manufacturer made it, for God's sake.
It was effectively a toy
pricey computer. Games, well, they were non-existent, so we'll give it a 6. We don't know.
I was going to say give it a 5, largely because we haven't got fucking clue.
Credibility is going to be 0.
Right, yeah.
Lifespan, we're not going to use minuses, we'll go for 0. And basic, given it had a shit memory, shit keyboard, I'm assuming the basic was going to be shit as well.
No idea about the programming
3.
on it. Go on then, yeah.
Right, I think we've got a clear winner as far as the worst Anyway.
Yeah.
Right, okay, right, let's go back to Acorn, and we'll tell you what, before we do this, let's fill in the sound on the Tandy. Any ideas?
Dire. I really didn't like
What
it
is
at
it?
all. I'll be generous, give it 3.
3. The BBC sound, it was a loudspeaker, and it is extremely loud, because
That's
I've
it,
actually
yes.
put, yeah, but it wasn't, well, it was nowhere near as good as...
That's it. I mean, it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't dreadful. I'd go
5.
4 or 5. Yeah. Okay, yeah, 5.
Yeah, maybe a 5, I think. Okay. Right, we'll stick with Acorn and we'll go for the Electron. The price, that was pretty cheap, wasn't it?
Yes, the Electron was not in this magazine.
I think it was maybe about 100 quid or something. It was really...
Oh, I didn't know it was as cheap as that. I thought it was somewhere between sort of 150, 200. So, but if
it was
cheap,
pretty... It was pretty... I'm thinking probably an 8 out of 10.
okay, yeah, if it was that price, definitely.
Graphics based purely on Commando.
Yeah. I mean, graphics-wise, what do we give the BBC? Because I mean, you're looking at pretty much the same.
Yeah, we gave the BBC 5, which
Okay. Yeah, so I'd give that 5.
5, fair
Based
enough.
on be in the minuses.
The sound is going to be the same, I would guess.
Yeah,
5.
sound identical.
The keyboard is excellent.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all.
It's maybe not.
Quite,
We gave 8.5 to the BBC. I'm actually thinking we're being a bit. I'm thinking the BBC we should have given a bit more than 8.5.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that.
Okay.
Well,
based on what the machines have looked at, out of 10, what would you say that's?
I'd say it's not quite as good as the BBC, but it's not far behind it. Give it half a point.
Go for an 8 then, shall we?
Yeah.
Right, availability of games. There were a lot of games out for it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, okay, they weren't great, but there was, a reasonable amount for it. So,
7.
what did we give the BBC?
What are you thinking?
What did we give the BBC?
We gave the BBC 4.
We'll bump it up from that, so I'd give it between 5 and 6.
Go for 5.5 then, eh?
Right.
Okay, peripherals, it's going to be pretty high. Maybe not quite as on a par with the BBC, but probably about an 8.5.
Yeah, that's right. You couldn't put all of the BBC peripherals on it, so yeah, drop it down a little bit from the BBC one.
We'll knock off 1. Aesthetics.
I didn't think it looked too bad. I mean, it didn't look fantastic. It did look a little bit cheap, but I thought it was all right.
It was nicer looking in the BBC, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So maybe a 6.5, 7.
Yeah, well, yeah, 6, I think, for that.
6. Okay, memory was it 32?
It was 32, yeah.
So it's going to be 6.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds alright.
Pricey games, I think it was fairly reasonable again.
Yeah, I think they were like comparable to the Spectrum again, wasn't it? So yeah, I mean you're looking at
probably
a reasonable price there.
7.5 maybe.
Yeah, go on.
Credibility. Well, we gave the BBC a 2. Not very high. Probably less than that actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So drop it down
1.5.
Yeah.
It's not quite at the Texas low.
No.
Lifespan.
It wasn't fantastic.
Yeah.
There is worse out there. I'll be looking at like 3 or 4.
Yeah. We'll go for 3. Basic is fantastic, so I'm going to give it a Was it quite as concise as the BBC, or was it slightly less?
It was pretty much the same as the BBC. So I mean,
Give it the
if
same.
you can program BBC, you can program that.
We
So I'll
got
give it the
right.
same.
It's getting a 10 out of 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, right.
haven't got-
Let's move on to the Let's move on to the Jupiter Ace. Price. That was one of the cheapest computers out there.
90 quid.
Ironically,
Dirty.
it's now one of the most expensive to buy, but back then
Yeah.
it's going to get a 10 out of 10, I think, for price.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was a bargain.
Graphics. It wasn't great, was it?
They weren't great. I've seen a couple of games, and yeah, we're talking sort of VIC 20-ish levels. But I think, wasn't it monochrome? I don't know if it had
You
colour.
might be right.
So we're talking
three.
monochromatic 20. So what did VIC 20 get?
VIC 20 for graphics got 4.
Okay, yeah, drop it down a
Drop it
score.
down to
Yeah,
three.
three for that.
Okay, sound. It was a speaker, wasn't it?
Sound, yeah, it was pretty rough, the sound on this thing. Not very impressive. 2 or 3.
2, yeah, go for 2. Keyboard was diabolical, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Spectrum rubber keyboard, wasn't it?
Was it
Yeah.
as good or as bad as the Spectrum, or worse? Or?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same. So, and I hated it.
I've not actually rated the Spectrum keyboard yet, but we're going to be a 5.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. I
you know
would-
what? We only gave the Commodore 64 a 5, so it's going to be a
so,
3.
Yeah, I was thinking 2.
2.
So meet there, 2.5.
It was better than the Query, so it gets an extra, so it's 2.5. Availability of games is going to be 0.
Yeah. God, bloody hell.
Peripherals is going to be 0.
Yeah.
Aesthetics.
Yeah, it's
hideous.
not exactly the greatest looking machine, is it? Yeah, it wouldn't be getting a lot.
2, 2.5.
Okay, I'm thinking 3, so yeah, go 2.5.
2.5. Memory, pretty poor.
Yeah, I think it was 3K.
Got to be about a 2 or a 1, 2 possibly.
Yeah, I'll go 2.
Yeah. Price of games, no idea. We'll go straight to the middle with a 5 because we don't know. Credibility, I think people would just look at you blankly if you told you had a Jupiter.
Yeah, they wouldn't know what the hell you were talking about. So
For that reason, it's going to have to be a 0, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
You're not going to have any credibility saying you've got a computer nobody's heard of that doesn't have any games for it. Lifespan is going to have to be 0.
Yeah, it really did
And
not catch on at all.
Well, basic.
Basic 0, because it didn't have it.
So it's going to be. Well, it's got to be 0. It didn't have it.
Yeah, it has to be. There wasn't any.
It had its own programming language, which was 4th, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Right. We're obviously going to piss off the Jupiter Ace user group as well, but anyway.
both of them.
Yeah. The 2 of them, aye. Right. Okay. Right. The Apple. Now we're calling it Apple. I mean, that was the first computer I got to use at school. It was a monitor, the keyboard, whatever. Price, it was pretty damned extortionate, wasn't it?
My knowledge of the Apple and the Apple II and whatever is almost non-existent. I'm going to have to bow to you on all of this.
I know it was an Apple, so it was going to be overpriced. It was going to be probably a 2. Graphics, I have been playing a few 8-bit face-off kerfuffles and I've played a few Apple games. Graphic-wise, they're on a par with the C64, but the colour palette is a lot worse. So it's going to probably score a 6.
Right.
It's going to score a 6. Sound is kind of dragony 32-ish. So it's going to be
as good as that, eh?
Yeah, it's going to be a 6. Again, I'm just going by the games I played. Keyboard, I believe, was pretty good. Because it was Apple,
right.
It was, so we'll go for probably a 7, I think, for the keyboard.
Okay.
Availability of games, I suppose, if you're in America, then yeah, there's a lot of games.
Yeah.
In the
Over
UK,
here. I never saw any.
No, I know. So yeah, I know. Or maybe picked a machine that wasn't really available in the UK, but we'll base it on if you've lived in America, you could get them. So there were games available back then, so we'll go for 6 because there were a lot of games, things like summer games and that were available.
Oh, okay, right.
Peripheral wise, I think it had your disk drives, your tapes, your monitors. So probably maybe a 6.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if there was any Apple computer that didn't have a decent amount. So
aesthetics, again, it's I suppose from a nostalgic point of view, you'd say it's a classic looking, but it was pretty damned ugly.
Okay.
It was brown again, I think. So it's going to have to be.
Okay.
It's probably going to be a 5.5, the same as the C64, I think.
Right. Okay then.
Memory. I'm not sure. Put it this way, I was playing summer games in it, so it did have memory. I'm assuming it maybe had 32. So we'll go for what?
The fact that it was always such a... I know we're talking about the first one. I keep thinking of the Apple II. Yeah, I don't know about the first Apple.
We've just called it Apple. I mean,
okay.
we'll give it a...
Well, I always assumed the Apple II had 64, purely because it was such a rival to the...
Atari and the C64.
Yeah.
I think it was. So we'll go for a 7. A 7 and an 8.
Yeah, go on then.
We'll go for 7.5 for memory. Pricey games... Honestly, I haven't a clue.
Oh,
I would imagine they're probably a bit more expensive just because people...
Well, in this country, because we've had to import them,
I interviewed Gary Bracey, who is one of the directors of Hoshin, and I asked him, I says, why did you charge more for a C64 game? He says, because we could. Because people who owned Spectrums were generally poorer, so we didn't charge them as much. People who owned C64s and BBCs generally had more money, so we knew we could get more money out of them. So that was the only reason, because they could.
Well, at least he was honest about it.
So I think I'm going to assume that Apple was probably the same. I'm going to assume it was about maybe a 6 for pricey games.
Yeah. What did we give Commodore 64?
I got a 7 for the price.
Give that the same, I think.
You think? Okay. Right, credibility. Again, if you're in the UK, they'd probably look at you blindly.
Yeah. I mean, we knew Apple, but we only knew it as a business computer, so we didn't know it as home.
So saying that you had an Apple with games, probably no. I'm thinking maybe a 4.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
3 or a 4.
Yeah.
Go for a 4.
Right, 3.5 to meet in the middle.
3.5. Lifespan, pretty short, I would think, eh?
Well, I'm probably the worst person to ask.
I'm going to go for 5. And the basic, again, I don't have any idea about the basic. I'm assuming it was
good idea to include the Apple, wasn't it?
Well, Steve Wozniak programmed the Apple, and Steve Wozniak was a bit of a geek, so I'm going to give it probably a 7 because I'm sure it was probably pretty damn good.
Okay.
Right, okay, we've not got many to go. Right, let's go up to Atari 800. Now I do own one of these, so I can kind of price wise.
Yeah, I remember the 800.
Yeah,
yep.
The price was pretty expensive.
Yeah, it was really expensive.
Pretty prohibitive in this
300 quid on here.
So I'm thinking probably about a 4, maybe a 5, 4 or a 5, 4.5. We gave the Amstrad 4.
Like I'd put it around that sort of Amstrad price. So yeah, I'd give it a 4.
Give it a 4.
Yeah.
Graphics were potentially fantastic.
It could do, yeah.
Really.
Unfortunately, there weren't a lot of games that really took advantage of it, but yeah, it could do some decent stuff. You look at
the Eidolon or any of the LucasArts games, they're phenomenal, the colour.
Yeah, of course, yes.
And your favourite sports game, Ball Blazer, it looks amazing.
Ball Blazer, yeah. Actually, I do prefer Ball. I'm more of a fan of Ball Blazer than you are, I remember that.
So graphics, we gave the C64 10 out of 10. I think it's got to be.
It's not far behind. Give it 8. 8.5 then.
Oh, I'm thinking a bit higher than that.
Really? What? So we're into the 9s.
I mean, a lot of the games looked shit, but some of the games looked, well, maybe not quite as polished. Go for 8.5 then, eh? That's what you said, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sound pretty good.
It could some decent chip tunes. I mean, I've heard some good Rob Hubbard tunes on it.
We gave the Atari 400 7. I'm thinking maybe.
Well, I think the audio was more or less the same. So if we gave the 400 7, yeah, the same for this.
Okay, 7. Yeah. Keyboard is fantastic.
Yeah, keyboard's great.
I can vouch for that. That's going to get a. I'm going to give that the same as the BBC. The BBC got 8.5. I love it's fantastic. It's solid.
If anything, I'd be tempted to bump it up a bit, bump it up to 9.
Give it a 9. Availability games when it was out, it was huge.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long, but when it was out and around, there was a...
I mean, again in the UK, it wasn't really, but in America, it was phenomenal. Availability games is going to have to be an 8.5, I would say.
Go on then.
Peripherals, it's going to have to be the same.
It had a
as
slew of
C64.
them, didn't it? Bloody hell, there was so many for it.
I've got half of them in my cupboard, you know what I mean? So it's a 9. Aesthetics, I'm biased, but I love it to bits. I think it's a fantastic.
Despite the fact that it's brownish, I always thought the 800 was one of the best looking computers you could get at the time.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go for 8.5, 9.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, 9.
Go for 9. I'm maybe a bit of a fanboy. Memory, I had 64K, so it's going to get an 8.
Did it? I always thought it was a 48.
No,
okay,
64.
64.
Or did it? Now you know what? Now that you mention that.
Well, just because I thought it was 48 doesn't mean it definitely was.
I think it was. I'm sure it was 60. Yeah, man. Now I'm trying to wonder here. I know the Atari XL. In fact, we should really be basing this on the Atari XL 800 because the Atari XL did have 64K. So.
Oh, okay.
We'll give. I think we need to give that and what we're looking at memory. Yeah, an 8. Needs to be an 8.
Okay.
Price of games. I think that was pretty much on par with the 64, wasn't it?
I think it was. Must have been somewhere around that sort of price. So
it's going to be a 7 again. There's credibility. It pains. Well, put it this way: in the computer club that I went to, there was probably, I don't know, the 55% Spectrum, or maybe 50% Spectrum, 45% C64, 1% Atari. So from that point of view, it was pretty low.
When it came out, I remember there were people around who did have one, but every time they said Atari, everybody thought they meant the VCS.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, when they said VCS, everyone thought, "Oh, that's great," So it almost sort of piggybacked on the console.
So
it had some credibility. It wasn't awful. It wasn't brilliant. I'd give it 5.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Okay, lifespan.
It hung around for a while, didn't it? It was no 64. No, I mean, it's certainly nowhere near as long as the VCS did.
Maybe a 6.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah.
Basic, we gave the 400 4 out of.
Yeah, basic. I'm assuming it had exactly the same. Yeah, so I'll give that 4.
Okay. Right, next one, I was going to say Atari Lynx. The Lynx, which was made by Computers, I believe.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure who it was who made it.
It was
but,
Computers, CAM. Price wise, Chris, what does it come up?
It was bloody expensive for the time. It was 225 quid for this thing. It was way overpriced.
So it was probably...
I'd be giving it like 3 at best.
The BBC, what did that? That scored a 2, so you're thinking 3.
Yeah.
3, right. I've got no... I'll leave this one to you. Graphics, okay. I've got no idea.
Graphics were very ordinary at best. Actually, they weren't that much cop. I'd give it 2 or 3.
What was it? What was it on a par with? Would you say any other machine?
I mean, you're probably looking at like VIC 20-esque graphics wise.
So 4. You want to?
But they weren't as good as VIC 20, so I'd knock them down a bit. Knock them down to 3. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sound.
Sound was pretty uninspiring. It had an internal speaker which wasn't very good. It wasn't very loud. So I'd give that one a 3 again.
Okay. Keyboard.
I thought the keyboard was fantastic. I really liked it.
Did you actually get to use it?
Yeah. So I would give the keyboard 7, maybe even 8.
The BBC got 8.5.
It's not far behind the BBC, so yeah, I'd give it 8.
So it's the same as an Electron, okay.
Yeah.
Availability of games, that's going to be 0.
That's 0,
Peripherals, 0.
Yeah.
Aesthetics, it was a nice looking computer, eh?
Yeah, I always thought it was a really nice looking thing. Yeah. I'd be looking at like 8s or so for that.
Not quite up there with Atari 4800, but yeah, an 8. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Memory.
48k.
So
it would depend because they brought out so many different versions. There was the 48, the 64. I think there may have even been a 128 version, but we'll stick with the base model, the 48. So not fantastic, but it's above average. Give it 6. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I know I'm not consistent with memory because some of them were smaller ones, but it's anyway.
Yeah.
So a video we can say what we like.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Pricey games. It's got to be 0 because it was non-existent.
Yeah, they just weren't.
Credibility again.
I don't think there was any at all. No.
It's going to be 0. Lifespan's going to be 0.
Yeah.
And basic, I haven't a clue.
Well, it was staggeringly slow. So,
2 or 3.
What did we give the Atari 400?
That got a 4. The VIC 20 got a 3.
I'd give it I'd give it a 3. It was easier to program than the VIC 20, but it was staggeringly slow. So yeah.
Okay, right. I'll comment on this one because you've not got much experience. The MSX, which we all know,
yes.
It was a sort of an agreed format that various companies, Panasonic, Toshiba, brought out their own. Price wise, how much does the MSX appear on that list?
No, there's no.
I think they were about 250, something like that. So it's going to be a 5.5. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 5.5. Graphics, resolution wise, it looked really nice, but the colours were pretty garish. So it's going to be.
Sounds like it has the same sort of issues then, graphics-wise, as the BBC Micro. So
kinda, yep. It's going to be. We gave the BBC 5. I'm going to give it 5.5.
Right.
Sound. Again, I think it was just kind of beeps and what have you. So it's going to be probably the same as the Dragon 32.
Right.
So we'll go for a 6.
Right.
Keyboard is really, really good. The keyboard, I did own another MSX. The keyboard was actually excellent. So I'm tempted to go for 7.5. I think.
Okay.
Maybe 8. Actually, it is a damn good key. I'm going to go for 8. It's a good keyboard.
Okay. So I've never even seen one.
Yeah,
So
they are. Yeah, they are good. Availability games. There weren't a plethora of games, but then there was more than some of the machines we've covered. So I'm thinking maybe a 4, kind of BBC availability.
Okay.
So we're going to go for a 4. Peripherals. I don't think there was an awful lot. There was certainly some stuff. I'm thinking maybe a 4 again, similar to kind of Dragon.
Okay. Right.
Aesthetics, it looks. I like the look of it. It looks quite like an Atari XL, so I'm thinking it's quite a nice looking machine. It's better than the C64, 6.5. I'm thinking it's probably about a 7. Yeah.
Okay.
7's nice. Memory again. I think it had. I think there was different versions, but I think they were 64K, so it's going to have to be.
So it's going to be pretty good.
Going to be an 8. Price of games again. It's going to be a 7, similar to that. Credibility again. It was your sort of Amstrad kind of area, so people didn't really know what the MSX was. So I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's going to be a 4.5.
Okay.
Same as Amstrad.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, lifespan was pretty damn short. Probably about maybe 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, that is pretty short.
Yeah, so probably about the BBC got 4. I'm thinking probably a 3.
Yeah.
Basic, I haven't a clue, so we'll say 6. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Okay, we've got fun enough. We've got 2 left, and both are actually Sinclair. So
okay, right.
Right, here we go. ZX81 price. It was stupidly affordable, wasn't it?
It was really cheap. 45 quid.
So it would get an 11.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it can't get anything less than 10.
You know what? I'm going to give it 11 because it was just ridiculously cheap. So
Okay,
it's
alright,
getting 11 out of 10.
Right.
Graphic wise, right.
Yeah, this is where it all goes a bit downhill. Graphics, well, no.
There were, let's be honest, out of all the machines, it was probably it would have to be a 1, wouldn't it?
I think so,
It would have to be a 1. Don't get me wrong, things like 3D Monster Maze are amazing, but
there are certainly good games for it, but they're never going to visually impress you.
Yeah, sound, was that a 0?
It didn't have any, yeah, so naught.
It started off also well as well. Yeah, keyboard. Fuck. Was it the worst keyboard we've used?
The worst I've ever used.
Is it going to get a 0 or a 1? The time you got 1.
Well, it was worse than a 10. It's got to get a 0. Just think about it. After the first category, it scored 11. After 4 categories, it scored 12.
Availability of games. There were a lot of games, I think.
Yeah, the availability wasn't bad. So I'd be thinking like
7 or 8.
Yeah, I was thinking around 7. So yeah, go with 7 on that.
Peripherals.
There weren't very many for it.
Could the printer connect it? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was one of those tiny little Sinclair printers.
You had the RAM pack. Did you get a joystick? I don't even know if a joystick's connected.
No, I don't think you could
it's going to be
joystick to it.
A 1 or a 2.
I'd go with 2. I mean, it did at least have some, so
aesthetics.
It had all the aesthetics of a pocket calculator to me. It didn't look good. It was so tiny.
As well. It had to be, I don't know, a 2.
Yeah, I'd say 2.
Memory.
Well,
the least,
1K.
Is it 1K? It's going to get a 0, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Pricey games. I think they were fairly reasonable.
Yeah, they were quite cheap. I think they were slightly cheaper than the Spectrum. So
maybe
I mean, price
an 8.5 possibly.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah.
Credibility. It was geeks that really had it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when it first came out, and so of course there was really nothing else there. Actually, there was the VIC-20, but that was so much more expensive. So it had the credibility to begin with, but within a year, that credibility had gone to absolutely nothing. I mean, it became a bit of a joke, really. So you can't really give it a very high.
1.5, one and a half.
Be a bit generous, give it 2.
Right, okay. Lifespan. Pretty short, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, I think there were still games coming out for it in '83. But when did that god-awful fucking cassette 50 thing come out? Because there was a ZX81 version
that
of
was
that.
probably about 83, 84 maybe, something like that.
Yeah, so it had, 3 years or so.
So it's maybe about a 3,
still,
3 out of 10.
give it a 3.
And basic was pretty shit because of the it was severely handicapped with the
That's right.
the
10
lack of
print.
memory. Eh?
That's it. 10 print Dave's a cunt. 20 go to 10 run out of memory error.
So a 1 or a 2.
I'll give it a 2.
Okay, right. The very last one is the most popular. Well, is the most popular computer in Britain. It's a ZX Spectrum. Price wise, it was up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 125 for the 48k one. The 16k was 99, but let's
say
say
hardly any. 9.5, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think so. There's a reason why it was so popular. I mean, at that price, people were just snapping it up.
The graphics. This could be a bit of a... I mean...
I'm not a fan of Spectrum graphics.
They're high res, but obviously got the colour clash. You've got the low colour palette.
Yeah. And of course, all the Spectrum fans will be saying, at least it's more colourful than the Commodore 64's was.
We gave the Amstrad 7.
Well, I'd give it less than the Amstrad, that's for sure.
I'm going for 6.5.
Okay, yeah, go 6.
6. Sound.
Oh,
it
God.
Was beeps and it was distinct and unique, but let's be honest, the sound in the Spectrum was shit. I mean, we're not talking about the later on +3, so it's got to be a 2 and a 2.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
The keyboard.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
I just did not like that rubber key. It felt so cheap and nasty.
2,
okay, yeah. 2 sounds alright.
Availability games, that's got to be an
11. Right, yeah. I mean, the availability was just,
Peripherals.
Nuts.
Yeah, there was a lot of peripherals for there, wasn't there?
Yeah, but they were all really shitty, bloody, like real sort of, what's the word? I can't remember the word now, but...
It was all third party, yeah.
Well, it was stuff like, there was no disk drive, you got the micro drive, and no regular printer, you got that bloody awful micro printer that printed on thermal paper. You remember that thing? Oh, God.
So,
yeah, I would say...
It wasn't. The C64 got 9, so it's not going to be that. Maybe a...
Oh, no.
6, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't go any higher than 6.
Yeah. Okay. Aesthetics. I mean, looks wise, it was. It wasn't a particular. It was quite unique looking and distinctive, but.
It was it was so small. I mean, when anyone thought of computers in those days, they didn't think of something that was, this tiny little bloody thing here. I mean, it was more impressive than the ZX81, but that's about the only thing it was more impressive.
The little sort of rainbow flash in the bottom was quite a nice little feature. That looked quite nice, but the fact that I think the actual computer looked alright, but it was the fact that it was so tiny.
Yeah,
made it look like a toy. So.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe
I'm thinking 3.
Ooh.
You were thinking more than that, though.
I was thinking a wee bit more than that. Can we go to 4?
Okay, right, yeah, we'll go to
We'll
4
go
then.
to 4. Memory, it was 48k. So it's
48k, so yeah, it was alright,
got to be
yeah.
a 7. Got to be a 7. Price of games, that was up there. That was going to be an 8.5, I'd think.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, you know, game price and obviously combined with game availability, yeah.
Yeah. Credibility, it's got to be a 10 because the C64.
Oh, I think so, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, everyone had it, you know,
Yeah.
so...
Lifespan, I'm tempted
It hung
to.
around for a fair old while, didn't it?
It
I
was,
mean, okay, it was helped with things like, you know, the Spectrum Plus and the Plus 2 and the Plus 3 and all that. But
as a
no less,
brand, it was
it's all,
around for a long. It's got
yeah.
to be the same as the C64, isn't it?
Yeah, what did 64 get?
We got a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
10 for that.
And the basic, I believe the basic was actually not too bad.
The problem I had with programming it, though, was the fact that you couldn't just type it in. It was always constantly having to get the combination of cap shift and symbol shift, and then what's the word that's going to appear if I press this key, you know.
So that was kind
So I
of...
found it a real pain in the arse.
Yeah, the usability wasn't great, but I think the basic, it was certainly better. It was certainly a lot better than the C64. Which
Oh yeah, I mean the basic was nice and simple, easy to use and that. It was just getting it actually typed out that was the real pain in the arse about
But as
it.
far as, forget the keyboard, imagine that you had a BBC keyboard on it. What would you say as far, what would you give it for basic as far as the ability to run games? I mean,
Well, as far as the ability to actually program it in BASIC, if you put it like that, I'd say it's even better than the BBC. The
Really?
BASIC was so simple to get into. It was all so clear and
well,
obvious.
if we're going for, I mean, we've scored the BBC 10, so we're going to go for 11 out of 10.
Well,
Or 10.
I wouldn't do 2 in mini 11. So yeah, give it the same as BBC then, 10.
Okay, right. That is it. That is it.
Right.
I
almost dread to think what order it's going to put these in.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this and overlay it in the video so you can actually see. Yeah, right. What I've done is I've hidden the total score column. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to unhide it and try not lose it. Right, unhide. Right, here we go. And I'm just going to go along there and hide all these columns. Hide. Okay, right. I'm trying not to look to see. I'm just going to do one little thing here. I'm going to do copy.
I'll make one prediction. I don't think the Mattel Aquarius is going to win.
Right, hang on one little second. I'm just going to do paste special, paste values, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide all that. I'm going to delete that, and then I'm just going to call it computer, and score. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to have to overlay this screen for a wee second. Right, I'm just going to go into sort, and it's going to be custom sort values. No, bugger off, wait a wee minute. How did I do this again? Hang on a second, wait a minute, I need to... Right, sort by score, there we go, smallest to largest. Right, there we have it. We have a winner. Right, in reverse order.
I'll say you got to do it in reverse order.
So wait a minute, let me just, if I do 1 and then make that 2, and then I'll just do, oh bugger off Alan, wait a minute, I'll just do it manually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right, so, okay, we're not going to have a drum roll quite yet. Right, in 20th position, now this is the definitive, what is the best computer ever, as said by your good self and myself. In 20th place is with 27 points. Now this would be out of how many columns did we have?
I think it was 11 in the end, because we also added the sound.
Aye, something like that. Anyway, with 27 points, we have the Jupiter Ace.
Oh, that came last. Okay.
In 19th position with 30.5 is the Mattel Aquarius. In 18th position...
We did better than I thought it would.
Yeah. In 18th position with 35 points is the Lynx. 17th position with 38.5 is the ZX81. Can't believe that beat the Tandy. In 16th position with 39.5 is the Tandy TRS-80. 15th position is the Texas. That's got 52 points. 14th is the Dragon 32 with 53. 13th position is the Auric 1 with 54.5. 12th position is the Auric Atmos with 64. 11th is Atari 400. That's on 68. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 computers all vying for, well, we've got Apple, BBC and MSX. They're all on 68.5. 7th position is the Commodore 128 with 69.5. In 6th position is the VIC-20 with 73. Blimey.
Okay.
5th position, surprisingly, is the BBC Electron with 74. 4th position on 76 is the Amstrad. Right, here we go. In 3rd position with 85 is the Atari 800.
Right.
That had 85. With 1 point more on 86 is the ZX Spectrum. And the clear winner is the Commodore 64 with 94.
I'm sure there won't be any complaints about that one at all, right?
Now, I think you'd agree, Chris, we've tried to be as subjective and open with our scores. I know some people will say we're biased and you know being a bit critical, but what is interesting is the top 4: C64, Spectrum, Atari 800 and Amstrad. You know, surprised to see the BBC Electron in 5th position, not enough, but...
Yeah, I think that's the biggest surprise of the lot, is how high up the Electron went.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at the last video and you see what the games were like.
But, yeah, anyway, so that is it. You don't need to watch any more videos. That is the definitive...
Definitive list is there.
Yeah, the best computer ever is the Commodore 64. Which we knew before we did this.
Exactly, I knew that anyway.
But it's in black and white, so there are no arguments.
Yep, there we are.
So, anyway, listen, the Waffle has now run on to 2 hours and 8 minutes. So, and it's bedtime. So, I'm just going to thank you, Chris, for joining me once again.
No worries.
I think Chris and I are going to be back on your screen probably in the next couple of weeks. We're coming up with another few ideas for some top 10s and some bottom 10s, whatever it is. We're also hoping to try to pull together a Christmas special as well at some point, so we'll get that. So it just remains for me to thank you, Chris. Thanks to everybody for your continued support and watching. And as always, thank you very much for watching.